I'm excited for those books, and I think they'll do well. And I know I sound, as always, like I'm super down on them and I'm angry about the industry, but I'm excited about new comics, man. I'm excited about a lot of stuff on that Marvel and Image list. I'm excited about stuff DC's got planned for May. May is going to be a killer month for comic books.
Oh, man, you're not kidding.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Hi there, you are listening to Contest of
What
Challengers.
the hell are you doing?
Am I on this episode? I should have asked you beforehand. Am I on this episode? I thought I was on this
I
episode.
guess you are now.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hi there, you're listening to Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast on the Yak Channel Podcast Network. My name is W. Dal Bush. I'm one of the co-owners of Challengers Comics in Chicago, Illinois.
I'm Patrick Brower, the other co-owner. There's just two. There's just two of us. There's no shadow figures behind the scenes.
That's right. There's no deep state.
There's no paper owners.
Yeah. As people who have listened to previous episodes might know, this week is the Comics Pro annual membership meeting in Portland. So this episode is coming to you live from Portland, Maine. As it turns out, not the right Portland for the meeting. That's on me. Apparently there's another Portland, like on the West Coast, like a Washington or something. I don't know where.
They really need to be more specific in all this information.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want... again, mea culpa, this is on me. I bought the tickets. To be fair... you said when we found out that the meeting was going to be in Portland, you had notified me because it was my day off, and you're like, hey, I'm busy at the store. Can you get the tickets? Comics Pro is going to be in Portland this year. Here are the dates. So, of course, I go online, get the tickets for Portland, Maine, which is the Portland. I wasn't aware there was another one.
I mean, to be fair, the conference is being held at the Hilton by the airport.
Right.
And they're absolutely... we are in a Hilton
right.
by
Portland,
the airport right now.
No one wants to talk about Marvel's 2017, which is weird. We got a lot of thoughts on Eric Stevenson being on the Image Board of Directors. No one seems to know who he is.
The weird thing,
Huge
though, is
letdown.
The number of gift bags we've gotten from wandering into ballrooms in the hotel.
It's true. And weirdly, there are a bunch of people from Valiant here. I guess they're just at every hotel near an airport, just in case comics retailers are there, which is pretty cool. I gotta say, as always, big ups to the Valiant promotions and sales department. They really care about retailers. No matter where you go, you can find someone. Not Adam. I think he's in the other Portland.
Well, it's my understanding that...
I want to say it's by Seattle. I don't know.
The people in the other Portland got lovely gift bags from Valiant at the hotel.
Sure.
Which, we're in a hotel.
Yeah, so a lot of what we'll be talking about this week is stuff that is apparently happening at the other Portland. So we're getting it secondhand.
I feel like to make this as authentic as possible, we need to just go rent a car and sit in it and turn on the ignition and record it there.
I imagine there will be at least one more off-site event that we'll be at later this year that will have a car trip associated with coming back from it, so we could probably record that.
But specifically, last year's
it's true.
Comics Pro meeting, we wound up doing
10 hours, I think?
10 hours over 3 episodes in a moving car. Sometimes it was pouring rain.
It was. A lot of times we were exhausted and mildly irritated.
When I say, hey, let's record so I don't fall asleep while driving, then you're in for a quality episode.
Yeah. That's definitely going to be a winner.
But literally, right now
as we speak,
it is a bold new era in Comics Pro.
How's that?
My board member tenure is officially over.
Wow.
It ended tonight.
The internal investigation they were doing resulted in your dismissal?
No. None of that.
No, Patrick stepped down willingly.
I stepped down after 2 years of being on the board for reasons I will not discuss.
Personal reasons.
On this
we'll
podcast.
Just leave it at that.
And not only that, but another board member was stepping down as well. So there were 2 seats coming up, not counting mine. One was open for anybody, another also open for anybody, but the board member that held it was also running for re-election. He lost.
Oh, goodness.
So not only were there 2 people that won new seats, it's my understanding that somebody who was running was also going to get my now vacated seat.
Okay.
So I don't know who won.
Uh-huh.
And honestly, maybe it's because we're in the wrong Portland, but the people...
disagree about that. We are in a Portland. I would not say the wrong Portland.
The wrong one for the Comics Pro meeting. The people that are at the meeting, nothing is coming out of it. I'm not getting news back.
Because you're ousted?
I wasn't ousted when this started. I wasn't ousted. I willingly stepped down.
Weirdly, there was one...
Not even willingly. Willingly sounds like they asked me. I approached them and said, "Hey,
personal reasons,
I'm going to
can't
use
do this
this
no more."
as a since this is the anniversary. This is a year mark. I'm going to step down now."
Yeah. Speaking of stuff coming out of Portland and kind of things not necessarily trickling out, there was The Beat today had a kind of remote report from someone from Phantom Comics who was posting stuff online, basically saying Marvel is being kind of jerks about how they are trying to keep all of the information at Comics Pro secret.
I have heard that they had
security guards making sure you couldn't take notes on laptops, was one thing.
Or you couldn't audio record.
Right.
However,
everything was very... We're telling you this...
Paper notes, handwritten notes
be,
is fine.
Like a data trail, basically. Which, when we were in the annual membership meeting last year, there was...
Not in Portland, by the way.
Yeah, it was Memphis. There was one portion of the Marvel presentation that they're like, right now we're going to show you something that we're not... we got permission to show this, but... there will be security guards monitoring to make sure that no one is recording this, because this cannot get out.
If we see a phone, you'll be asked to leave.
Right.
And and we were there 10 or 15 minutes before the panel or whatever,
mm-hmm.
and the urge to pull out your phone and text someone or to do something to kill time.
Yeah.
No.
It's like you've been handcuffed. And all it turned out to be was a little promo reel for Inhumans, which had not aired yet on ABC.
At the point, it showed nothing of the episode. It was just actors saying, "I'm really excited to get to play this role."
And one stunt shot of Black Bolt blowing up a cop car in an intersection. Nothing that you'd be like, "Oh man, the world's got to see this." It was just oh, okay, who cares? But I guess
nobody
ABC
said
cared
that about
a ton.
anything to do with the Inhumans.
No.
So I'm sure we're going to get to a lot of the publisher news and industry news, but I want to start with a thing that has been driving me crazy today, because an announcement was made for the future of the comics industry, and it's something that we've heard about for a while. Mm-hmm. But the number of people that specifically wanted to know our take on it is frustrating.
Okay.
Because it's a non-thing so far.
Oh, okay.
Any guesses what it is?
No.
It's a Diamond announcement.
Oh, DC Previews?
Diamond Pullbox Online.
Oh, very excited about that. Biggest news of the weekend. By a ton. No joke.
Okay, why don't you explain it?
I will read you some of...
while you're looking for it. I am less excited than you are.
Oh my god.
Well, here's why
this is right in my wheelhouse.
I'm not as excited as you are, is because I don't believe it.
Oh, I definitely believe it's going to happen. This is something we've heard about for a while.
I don't believe it's going to work.
Oh,
I mean,
it will.
Technologically...
It will.
Really? How is their online bill pay working?
It will work sporadically, and then frequently, and then well.
Okay.
That's the roadmap for Diamond.
Okay, I was just talking this bit now to let you pull it up, but I didn't realize you had it so quickly.
Yeah, I bookmarked a bunch of things that I feel like we'll be talking about, so they'll be handy. This is from ICV2. Diamond Comic Distributors has announced that it will launch PreviewsWorld Pullbox, a new online pull and hold service based on the company's PreviewsWorld website, this spring. The new service will allow consumers to place online orders with their local comic shop and assist the retailer in managing and processing those orders. From Diamond's consumer website, consumers will be able to manage monthly comic subscriptions and pre-orders from Previews, Diamond's monthly pre-order catalog, search Diamond's complete database and place special orders from it, keep a wish list and send it to their store, sync orders with their local comic shop, powered by ComicShopLocator.com, and see orders arriving at their local comic shop for the coming weeks. There's a bunch of stuff behind the scenes that we can do, but the gist of it is, way back in the day, before ComiXology was a digital comics juggernaut, one of the first things they would do is a system called Pull List. And Pull List was connecting consumers with local shops and allowing consumers and shops to have a pull list for each customer. Most comic shops have an internal pull list system, a way of subscribing to titles, comics, special order items. but usually there's not a great way to get that information to the consumer 24/7. Pull List was one of the first places that really allowed you to do that. Someone could go to the Pull List app on their phone or go to the Pull List website and see a real-time list of everything that they had on their subscription list. They could add new titles monthly to the catalog. They could search for different titles to add to the list. They could find special order items that were in the monthly catalogs. All the stuff that Diamond's going to be doing, ComiXology was doing 10 years ago. ComiXology, conveniently, is not going to be do that starting in March. March is when they're sunsetting their pull list system. They'd already kind of stopped doing anything with it, but they told people a year ago, in March of 2018, it's definitely going away. So
I'll stop getting those emails every Tuesday night.
So this spring, Diamond is going to be doing their replacement for it. They've been mentioning it as part of their overall roadmap for Comic Suite, which is their comic shop point of sale system that they've been doing for almost 10 years now. Maybe it is 10 years.
We signed up in February 2009.
Yeah, 2009 is when we started, but I think they had maybe been going a little bit earlier. They'd been in the process of building Comic Suite way back in, I want to say 2005, 6, something like that. So Diamond can take a while to do something. We had known, I think 4 or 5 years ago, that they were going to be doing essentially this thing, a consumer-facing version of the Comic Suite ordering and subscription system. One of the things that I really like about it, and the thing that really puts it ahead of ComiXology's system, is that it is going to be integrated into Comic Suite. Previously, when we were using the ComiXology pull list system to allow our customers to have access to their pull list, it was basically two parallel systems. So somebody would add a title on ComiXology, then we would have to find that and then add it on, at the time we were using Comic Suite. And then at the same time, if someone comes into the store and wants to add something, we would add it to Comic Suite, and then we'd have to go into their ComiXology account and add it there too.
Or vice versa. If they came into the sort of drop a series, we'd have to go back into their ComiXology list to take it out.
Yeah, and there would be times where someone would just start using ComiXology's pull list system, and they'd make a lot of changes, and we'd have to go and do all these changes, and sometimes they'd add and drop the same title multiple times.
ComiXology had different ways. You could add a single issue, or you can add a series, but on the mobile app, you were only adding one or the other, and it wasn't clear. And also, ComiXology had their titles phrased differently than Comic Suite does, so there was confusion that way. And I don't know any store that every week printed out both lists and merged them by hand like you did.
Hey, I did that. One of the big problems as well with ComiXology's system was that ComiXology's list of what was coming out each week was based on information they would get from Diamond weeks in advance. So some of that would end up being incorrect because titles would be pushed back, but some of it would also be incorrect because one warehouse would get it and another wouldn't. So people would get an indication that like a certain Dark Horse title would be coming in, and we'd have to go, no, we're getting that next week. Like, it hasn't been delayed. No one in Illinois is going to have it. But
they frequently, not frequently, but occasionally wouldn't believe us.
Yeah. So the good news with the Diamond system is, with the caveat that it all works correctly and it works the way that Diamond says it will, all of that should be automated. People can look at their list and it's exactly the same list that we have in store for them. People can add titles and we will get a notification in Comic Suite that says, hey, they're adding this title, you can approve it. There might even hopefully be a system where you can auto-approve stuff. I don't know that I'd necessarily want to do that, but if you want to streamline things...
I wouldn't, just to be sure.
Also, the list of what we're getting in should hopefully be the list that they are seeing when the new invoice is up. So they'll see exactly, like in the same way that we can tell you on Friday when we're sending out emails, this is what you're getting next week. All of that should be available on the app. All of that is really, really good. One of the biggest things that we try and work on, and that we've been doing more of in the last year and a half, is trying to build up more pre-orders.
For the record, not between you and I.
No, trying to do less of that, frankly. But
as evidenced by the last 2 weeks of podcasts.
The pre-order system is what we're really trying to do. That's why we send out weekly emails about what people are getting in for their subscriptions. That's why we send out monthly lists of all the new stuff that's coming out. That's why sporadically throughout the month we send updates saying, hey, you're reading this series, there's a similar one coming out you may want to add. That's why we put lists of stuff on the front counter to say, hey, this is what's coming out in 2 months, so you can see it and you can add it. All of that stuff is to drive up pre-orders because that is kind of the lifeblood of the industry. It would be nice if that weren't the case, that we could just order stuff and people would buy it off the shelf, but for us and most stores, a healthy pre-order system allows us to take chances on other stuff. So this is very good if it works the way it's supposed to. If you're not excited because you have doubts that it's going to work the way you think it will, I don't blame you.
Well,
I'm not as worried about that.
I'm interested to learn how new people sign up to the system. For example, if somebody just randomly uses this service to to reserve a single issue here and there, and they're not somebody that's part of our club system or has had it ever explained before, suddenly we're going to be pulling for them, and they haven't filled out, like, they haven't looked at our rules sheets.
Sure. Well, a lot of this I think is going to be similar to how ComiXology would do it, and how they would do it is they'd have a list of stores, and you create an account, but if you create an account and you don't connect with a store, no one's pulling anything. If you connect with the store, at that point, one of the things Diamond's saying they're going to be doing is you have approval processes. So just because someone signs up with your store and says, I want this book, does not mean that book is necessarily going to get there. Like, you will have to, as an owner, say, yes, I approve this person, and potentially, granularly, yes, I approve of these individual items. There's a specific thing that they list on the ICV2 thing, and I didn't cover this because this is a very store-facing version. Set individual store ordering requirements, guidelines, and dates for their pulled box customers. So you should be able to say all of the things we would normally say. Like, okay, you're going to be getting this discount. Some stores do things where they have a specific cutoff. If you don't order it by X days before the book comes out, you're not getting it. They also may say things like, once you order it, you're committed to it. If you drop it, you're going to have to get the next 3 or whatever. All of that stuff can be put probably on the Comic Suite side of things for us. And then when they go to our comic shop locator page or when they go to PreviewsWorld.com, they should be able to see that. We'll also be able to approve Pullbox customers, get new order alerts, and sync with online orders or export orders to POS software. Specifically with Comic Suite, manage new pull and hold customers, integrate orders for approval and ordering. So all of the things that you're asking for, they are definitely aware. Like, okay, those are things that I don't know who's been beta testing this. We may be beta testing it later in the year. They will be showing this to retailers at the Comic Suite users group
at C2E2.
At C2E2 in April.
Which is a much bigger reason to go to that now.
For sure. I
don't mean C2E2. I meant to the Comic Suite program.
Yeah, I'd hoped this would be shown there because it's kind of the next big stage of what was on their roadmap years ago. And they said they're launching it in the spring, so I would assume it's going to be after C2E2. I can't imagine they'd have it out before then.
I'm also concerned about people's availability to ask for things that are out of print or out of stock.
One of the really good things about this, and another one of the things I'm really excited about, is that this is using the same stock information that we get from Diamond. It would surprise me if people were able to ask for something that Diamond specifically does not have in stock. We as a store may be able to say, yes, let them do that, but I feel like the default is going to be letting people know, this thing you're asking for, this graphic novel, this toy, it's in stock, you can get it, or it's back ordered, you might not get it right away. But one of the things Diamond has mentioned on the list of features for Pullbox is creating a wish list, which feels to me a lot more like this is something we cannot get from Diamond, but maybe you may find this down the line. So it's something that is not an explicit order, it's I would love it if you guys could find me an Amazing 300. I want a Near Mint Amazing Spider-Man 300. That would be cool.
I mean, I hope it doesn't go back.
It may be something that's a little bit more like, a field of something that you can type stuff in.
Another reason I'm not that excited is, for over 2 years, and I mentioned this briefly before, Diamond's been touting their online bill pay service because every week we still have to pay by check, which is, if I may say, in this day and age, archaic.
Horseshit is another way to say it.
And it's been years. Over 2 years they've been touting this, and we still can't do it.
Sure. Here I think is the key thing. That's not the Comic Suite team.
Okay.
That's not their job. There is a specific group of programmers that work on Comic Suite, RMH, RMS
But this
stuff.
is still an online functionality. This is
It
still...
is, but it's, I mean, they have people that work just on their website. They have people who work just on PreviewsWorld. Like, this is kind of those teams rather than the team that handles, you know, billing and reporting and things like that are a little bit more, like, deep inside Diamond than the stuff that we're talking about.
Do you have any concerns that this is just the first stage of Diamond marketing directly to our customers and eventually trying to work around the local comic shop?
I don't really. It's possible. It's certainly possible. I would be surprised if they wanted to do that, mostly because they're not built for that.
Well, they weren't built for this, but...
No, I mean, specifically, like, the things that I mean, Diamond's been talking about the potential of, like, people placing orders through a store and having it directly mailed to them in a way of competing with Amazon. I mean, have you seen the times that we get one thing from Diamond and how that's packed?
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen a lot of the restock comics that we get in on a Wednesday?
Oh, by the way, do you remember that the largest box we got in this week?
I do.
It was just the Batman Secrets.
Yeah. It's possible, but man, comics fans are not crazy about getting stuff in poor condition, and the way that Diamond ships out comics, the way they pack and ship comic book comics, when it's less than like a box worth of comics, it's not great. And a box worth of comics is hundreds of copies. So yeah, it's possible. This is cloud-based, so I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people who are going to be nervous about the idea of Diamond having that sort of detail on what your individual pull list customers are doing.
But at least for the customer's sake, they're not going to have credit card information or things like that.
I mean, nothing that sounds like that. This is a free service for customers.
Definitely a pay service for retailers, though.
Yeah.
None of that was mentioned.
Yeah, I'm curious what the cost is going to be. I think a lot of it is just going to be to cover the cloud end of it. I mean, that is going to be an expense for Diamond. I hope it'll be much like with ComiXsuite. We pay a yearly license for ComiXsuite and RMS, RMH. I assume it'll be something to that, like it'll either stack onto that or become an additional. I'd be shocked if it was more than $100 a year. That seems like it would be enough for a lot of stores to not want to participate. But who knows? I have no idea what they're going to charge for this. Some of it depends on how robust the feature set is. There's a lot of things they're talking about. If they're all ready to go and they all work great, you can charge more. If it's a little bit more open beta, we're figuring it out, tell us what you'd like to see, I don't know that people are going to want to spend that much on it.
I had seen that a retailer today who was disappointed that they hadn't heard this directly from Diamond called his rep to ask about it, and his rep said, I don't know what you're talking about.
So they have a rep. Interesting.
Right?
That must be
but
nice.
I wouldn't expect, I would never call, when we have a rep, call our rep and say, what is this program Diamond offers?
Although, in fairness, it was in Diamond Daily.
Yeah.
So...
Oh no, I'm not saying. I just told you what they said. As we started with this, we've known about Diamond working on this for a very long time.
But I just mean,
this is not a new thing.
If I was a customer service representative working for Diamond, I would probably read Diamond Daily daily.
Oh, I thought you were saying that the retailer should have read it.
Although, I mean,
because
they should, but they should have. I don't blame their expectation that a thing they read from a Diamond PR announcement in a Diamond morning email, I don't blame them for thinking their rep should know about it.
Okay, that's what you mean.
I think that's fair. I think it's a fair concern. But yeah, I am incredibly excited about Pull List. I like technology. I like this sort of stuff. So
and I think a lot of our customers like technology.
Yeah, we've tried other things to try and fill that void. Years ago, we even talked to programmers to say, like, could we do something like this? But it was all very early stages and would have cost us way too much money. And much like ComiXsuite, I like how dialed into Diamond this is, because for most people who are doing subscriptions, the things they want are things that Diamond offers. There's plenty of things we sell that Diamond doesn't offer and won't be reflected in this. That's not the stuff people subscribe to, generally.
I also feel that this is pushing us further away from Comic Hub.
Possibly. It's doing a lot of the stuff Comic Hub does, but again, it's dialed into Diamond, which is a huge advantage. But that said, Comic Hub had a huge head start, and they could be a lot more stable, and they could be a lot better than what Diamond's going to put forward. We've heard people who are using RMH, which is the RMS replacement, really not having a good time with it. So
Yeah.
clearly Diamond is not necessarily always on an upward trajectory
and honestly,
with their tools.
that is what was forefront in my mind
Sure.
when I read about this.
Sure. But one of the other things that we've heard from people who made the switch from from RMS to RMH is that while it's not great, they are very responsive in what people want to see. With RMS, there were always limitations on what they could do because Microsoft owned it. They could tweak stuff in Comic Suite to try and get it to behave a certain way, but there were fundamental things that just, no, you can't change. They're just bedrock parts of the program. With RMH, they're able to talk to the programmers and say, this fundamental thing in your code, we need it to be different. And they're like, all right, we'll get on that. Like, that's... I don't know that I want to be one of the people yelling about the things I'd like to see different because they're hurting my business. But, a year from now, when it's better, and a lot of people have done that, I would be very happy to use RMH. Sure.
I would never call myself an early adopter, but I begrudgingly do things, I think, before the general public, just because if it's inevitable, I'll do it. Like, if I'm on a website that says, we're changing over to this format, you can preview it now, you can change now, or you can wait until it's mandatory. I always do it now, because I just get it out of the way. It's going to happen.
Sure.
But I certainly don't have devices before anybody.
Yeah, I love technology and
your
technological
phone is
changes.
4 iterations higher than mine, although that's a misnomer because there was no 9.
I think Kent's phone is even older than yours.
It is.
I
look at that
teased him
phone every
about
time
that.
and say, come on.
Get a new phone. But he's just like, no, it works for me. Okay.
The phone is terrible.
It is terrible. It's embarrassing.
It is. All right, well, you mentioned this as we move away from the Diamond announcement back to other publishers' announcements. You'd mentioned this before. So we'll go down this route.
Cool.
DC is leaving Previews Magazine, like Marvel had done previously, and is having their own magazine.
The aptly titled DC Previews.
Which I'm getting annoyed by how many things there are.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, like when we have a Previews catalog that we have to order from, we've got the Previews catalog, we've got Marvel Previews, we'll have DC Previews, we've got Image Plus, which is more of like a promotional magazine than it is an order form. And then the actual, like...
retailer order form.
Yeah, the retailer order form with prices and stuff in it.
Which, honestly, I would happily do away with if that information was readily available in all of the listings.
Sure.
But there's still things that occasionally miss and things that aren't there.
Yep.
And it's easier just to flip through that and to find it out than it is to look it up through the system.
Sure. Yeah, it was funny to me that the announcement for DC Previews, which is going to be all of their catalog listings plus probably some,
interviews and stuff.
Yeah, some of the stuff they've had, like the DC Nation magazine or whatever. We're getting this in quantities equal to Previews magazine, as opposed to Marvel Previews, which is in whatever quantity we want. So we usually get enough for people who get previews, which is like 6 or 7 people at our store, and then we'll get another couple dozen for the shelf so that people can, at least the first week, grab one, see if anything in there looks good to them.
We have just about 300 Polls List subscription customers. We have 5 of them who get previews.
Yeah, and none of them that I think of turn it back in. One of them turns it back in.
I think you're right with none of them. I mean, people give us lists.
It's one of our Patreon sponsors, Michael Romanenko.
Oh, thanks, Michael. He usually just does emails.
He does, but he'll list the specific page number that's on previews. That's why I know he uses.
When you say turn it back in, I thought you meant.
No, I mean,
like, here's the tear out sheet from the.
Nobody does that anymore. But I mean, sometimes.
Nor do they have to. Let's be clear. That's unnecessary.
And there have been people in the past who do a similar thing where they'll send an email in saying, "Hey, this is the stuff from the catalog that I want." We've got at least one person who goes to PreviewsWorld where you can see all that information. When the stuff is in the system is a week before when the catalog comes out. So there's a week there where you can just go onto their website, see all that info, and then submit us an order. So we've got at least one person who already does that.
Already did it today for next week's previews.
Yeah, it's just going to go in a pile.
But that's also because he does that, he doesn't buy the Previews magazine anymore because he doesn't need to.
No.
Honestly, I don't. I mean, I can't imagine people finding tremendous value in the magazine because it's overstuffed with
product. I can see some of it, like in the sense of nostalgia. Like fondly remember my high school years getting advanced comics or previews and just being so excited because the internet didn't have that sort of information about comics. So if you wanted to know what was coming out in 2 months, that was it.
Remember when
Marvel Age wasn't even being published anymore.
Remember when a publisher's presentation at a convention is how you find out stuff?
No.
I do.
So yeah, DC previews, it's a little bit more cumbersome, but it's fine, and I hope they find value in it. Marvel previews is a thing that when they first said, hey, you can get as many as you want, we said, great, we're going to get a ton. We're going to give them to everybody. They were giving us, like, over 100 of them. No one seemed to care.
Yeah, nobody ever asked us to order them a thing that they saw on Marvel previews.
Yeah, it didn't change how quickly people were adding stuff to their pre-order lists. It would, for a lot of folks, it would still be the day something came out or the week before it came out. So we cut down how many we got because it wasn't worth storing them and unpacking them and giving them away because people weren't ordering anything from it. So if they weren't going to order anything from it, why are we giving it away? Maybe DC previews will be different. I don't know. I don't see why it would, but I don't know. Maybe.
You know who's taking DC's place in the front of the catalog?
No, who?
There's a brand new premier publisher for
Are they going in the front, or are they just going in, like, the front half?
That's what premier publisher means.
Right, but I mean, they're not literally going to go right before Dark Horse. They're not going to be in the actual front of the catalog. No. They're going to be in the front portion of the catalog.
Well, they're going to be alphabetically where they would go.
Sure. All right, is it alphabetical?
Yeah.
Oh, I never realized that.
Dark Horse.
I thought it was
DC,
just
IDW, Image, Marvel.
Yeah, I guess I never realized that.
Then you do know.
Yeah, I mean, it's Dynamite news.
Yeah.
Wink. Dynamite is now a premier publisher at Diamond Comic Distributors.
That literally means nothing to me.
No.
Except, I mean...
They'll get a few more pages to get their section out, I think. That's about it.
I will give them the exact same consideration I currently don't give them.
Sure. Not even Tarzan Red Sonja by Walter Giovanni and Gail Simone writing it? Not even that? Cover by Adam Hughes? I think.
Man.
Real book I did not just make up. Did you know that?
I don't care.
No, why would you?
That being said, I'm more than happy to pre-order it for anybody who wants it.
Yeah, sure.
We'll probably even have some for the shelf.
You think?
I don't know, maybe. You lost me at Walter Giovanni.
Sorry.
Well, I didn't mean to jump to Dynamite, but I did just because it was a DC segue. But
sure.
Was there anything else that DC announced at this? DC, by the way, won the Comics Pro. I don't remember what the name of the award is.
It was like Industry Award or something?
Yeah, as like basically most helpful to comic retailers, and that necessarily isn't just publishers, it's creators, it's people that help us do our job and who are advocates, like Paul Heyman, for the comic book indry.
Yeah, specifically, the DC sales team won.
Yes, the entire
sales team. Which is pretty cool, because we know most of those people, and they're all very hardworking folks, and they deserve it.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. I don't recall DC having anything else.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I thought I'd double check with you because you have things bookmarked. Sure,
I didn't bookmark that because I don't remember there being anything in particular that we didn't already know. DC had already announced kind of all their stuff about, Bendis and Man of Steel and No Justice and
what?
All that kind of stuff. So nothing that was in their May solicits. I don't think there were really any surprises there.
They're going to have to. What's the opposite of advanced solicit? Post-solicit. Man of Steel #1 because it comes out in the end of May or the end of end of May, but it's not in previews.
Peter Tomasi had mentioned that there's a book he has coming out the last week of May that will also be in the June previews. So it sounds like all of that week's
Super Sons, Blue Falcon, Dino Mutt crossover.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Super Sons. I'm excited.
Sure. I don't care about any of that Hanna-Barbera
really
stuff.
like
I don't care.
The Super Sons series, and I'm sad to see it go. It's one of my favorite things DC has done, and it's just so much fun.
Sure.
And it's got pretty high caliber art regularly.
Yeah, it sounds like
George
it's just
Jimenez
changing form more than anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But anyway, so do you want to do Image or do you want to do Marvel? What do you want to
do? You choose, Patrick.
I'm going to choose Image because we're not spending a lot of time on this.
No.
The Image Expo was Wednesday of this week, and an Image Expo, as per normal, is like a convention panel where there's a moderator, and then they bring up creators who are announcing books that Image is going to eventually publish, hopefully at some point in the future, unless the creators attached have the names Fraction or Deconic or Sienkiewicz,
Or Hickman.
or Hickman.
Yeah, these are books that are coming out sometime between May 2018 and never. So I'll just run down the list real quick
That's more than I was even going to
to
do.
remind Patrick, because after this I'm going to ask Patrick pick one of these books that you're excited about.
You already know which one it is.
Probably. Okay.
Dead Guy Fan Club.
Okay. Blackbird by Sam Humphries and Jen Bartel, which is coming out in October 2018.
I do like Jen Bartel.
Bloodstrike by Michael Fife is coming out in no date listed.
Just read
that I
Copra.
can see.
Just read Copra.
Crowded by Chrisabella, Ted Brandt, Rose Stein, and Triona Farrell is coming out summer 2018. Dead Guy Fan Club by Annie Wu.
Woo! I did not mean that as... I meant that as a thing of excitement, not a play off her last name.
Could be both.
It wasn't intentional.
Fall 2018.
Yay! How's that?
Dead Rabbit by Jerry Dugan, John McCrae, and Mike Spicer is due out summer 2018. Death or Glory by Rick Remender and Ben Gal is coming out in May.
I really like Bengal.
Echo-
Once again, Remender gets the best art talent.
Yeah. Echolands by J.H. Williams III, W. Hayden Blackman, Dave Stewart, and Todd Klein is coming out, quote, soon.
That is a good creative team.
It is for
That
a
is
book
the
that
Batwoman creative
is
team.
not on any schedule. Farmhand, written and drawn by Rob G. from Chew, is coming out July 2018. Oh my god, this is 3 pages. Stupid CBR. Juke Joint by T. Franklin and Maria Wing is coming out, they don't say, October 2018.
That's the person who wrote
Bingo
Bingo
Love.
Love, yeah.
The Last Siege by Landry Q. Walker, Justin Greenwood, Eric Jones, and Patrick Brousseau.
Would that be Supergirl Adventures in the 8th Grade, Landry Q. Walker?
The same. Summer 2018. Leviathan by John Lehman, Nick Pitara, and Mike Garland. This summer. Todd McFarlane has 1 billion new books, most of which don't have any specific dates.
Let's just skip those.
I'm just going to say the names. Medieval Spawn and Witchblade crossover
Oh my
series.
God.
Spawn Kills Everyone 2.
Ugh.
Misery. Spawn,
Oh yeah,
the ongoing
Misery
monthly title.
that he tied to the Me Too movement.
Yep.
That's not tone deaf at all.
I'm going to read this solicit. This is the
Oh
one
my
I'll read
God.
because it's so dumb.
Oh my god.
In the wake of the Me Too scandals arises a teenage hero who is tired of being pushed around and abused by the actions of others. This new character, Misery, will help out those innocent people who have been victimized by the evil that has spread across the entire planet. Stories will go global as Misery tries to discover exactly how to control her powers and to make others feel her misery.
Pain?
So dumb.
Hey, do you think that's a bad idea?
Me too. Sam and Twitch True Detectives 8-issue miniseries. I don't think any of these have dates.
Yeah, because Sam and Twitch are going to be in the Spawn movie that's not doing anything right now,
that
not
will be out
being
in a
filmed.
year, I guess.
So this series will be over by then, so people will say, yeah, I know them.
Yeah, they were in a movie I haven't seen yet. There had been some concern, rumors, whatever, about where Miller World titles were going to end up now that Netflix owns Mark Miller in his entirety. Some people had theorized that Netflix might start publishing stuff. As it turns out, nope, everything stays at Image. That includes The Magic Order with artist Olivier Coipel. It's a 6-issue miniseries, starts this summer. And final page, Oblivion Song, which we already know about because it's coming in on March 7th. Proxima Centauri by Farrell Dalrymple is a 6-issue miniseries coming out
hold
in
on.
June.
Isn't that an Avengers villain from No Surrender?
Proxima Midnight. Dean Haspiel's The Red Hook is coming out June 2018. It's a graphic novel. Shanghai Red by Chris Sabella, Joshua Hickson, and Hassan Otsman Elahu. June 2018. Son of Hitler is a graphic novel by Anthony Del Cole and Jeff McComsey.
I think we have it down
due
here,
out
this
May
massive
2018. Mirka Andolfo's Unnatural, which was a European series, is now being translated in English and it's coming out July 2018. The Weatherman by Jody LaHoupe and Nathan Fox is coming out
It'll be good to see Nathan Fox doing something again.
June 2018, and most surprisingly to me, What's the Furthest Place from Here, which is a new series from Matthew Rosenberg and Tyler Boss, the creative team behind 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank, is coming out from Image. It is due out November 2018. That, I believe, is everything that was announced at the Expo. Heartbreaking to me, the one book I wanted to see was the long-teased Warren Ellis Tula Lotay follow-up to Supreme Blue Rose called Heartless was not announced, so that thing will not land on the schedule probably anytime in 2018. I'd be shocked if it did, especially because they missed the chance to announce it.
But don't worry, Dal. You can ask her about that personally at C2E2.
I will, probably. I hope it's still coming out, or at least that she's got some other long-form thing. She's been doing a lot of covers and non-comics work, and I'd love to see something sequential again. Also not announced anything from Matt Fraction, Kelly Sue DeConnick, Jonathan Hickman. All of those creators have books that were
previously announced.
Were teased or announced at other conventions or in other places, and none of those are on the schedule.
At least 2 Image Expos ago was Parisian White.
Parisian White? Yeah.
Frontier.
Annie Wu is supposed to be doing a book with Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky that doesn't seem like it's happening anytime soon if she's doing her own book. Yeah, Frontier, which was supposed to come out last, I think, March maybe? Year ago? Something like that? And then was indefinitely postponed, which it didn't seem like it was going to be indefinitely postponed so much as hey, some stuff came up, we didn't want to run behind, give us a few months, we're going to get it back on schedule, we want to make sure these things come out when we say they're going to come out. And now they're not even saying when it's going to come out.
There is one more property that we thought was going to be announced at Image Expo and wasn't.
Yeah.
That we were told of months ago. The Daniel Warren Johnson's
follow-up to Extremity.
Written and drawn by him.
Yeah.
Which is a book that, as he describes it, is right up my alley. And it has a pretty great title, but it's not for us to say.
Yeah, I will say this. There is a possibility that all these books we've mentioned and all these creators that didn't have an announcement at the Expo will have new material coming out in 2018. It just would be disappointing if they knew this stuff was coming out and Image declined to promote it at this event. There's a lot of interesting books coming out, but Image doesn't hurt for interesting books. What they hurt for is hits. And the biggest books I can think of are ones that kind of don't have a specific date they're coming out. Like Echolands was the one that as a fan and as a retailer is the most anticipating from that list. There's no scheduled date for it. Coming soon. Could be this year. Might not be. The other stuff, it all sounds good, but in my head I can put numbers on all these of what we're going to order. I don't think there's a single book that was listed on there that I would order even half of what we order for Saga.
Oh. Excuse me. Agreed.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, we need more from that company that is A-list caliber stuff. We need more Sagas and Sex Criminals and Bitch Planets and East of Wests and stuff like that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be from those creators, but man, it's got to be from someone. All this stuff sounds good, but we need better than sounds good right now.
What would you say? I wasn't paying that close attention. Was there like 20 titles, let's say?
Something. There was a bunch of stuff at the end. There was just graphic novels, so it's hard to really count.
Well, let's just say there's 20 titles.
Sure.
How many are you genuinely excited for?
I don't know, probably 6.
All right. Mine is 3, so...
Sure. I mean, I don't know that I could name all 6 of them right now, but there's definitely things in there that I'm curious about and I want to see and I think has potential. But yeah, there's very few things in there where I'm like, oh man, that's a surefire seller. A lot of stuff we're going to have to hand sell. A lot. And that's the thing of Image that I kind of don't want as much of anymore. Is the stuff that, by creators people don't know, with properties that we can't really easily explain, with stuff that doesn't immediately look like it's something you want to read, that we have to go, no, you guys, seriously, try this out.
Did you read Redlands 6 this week?
No, I'm like 2 behind.
Oh man, it was great.
Cool.
Like, it just keeps getting better and better,
Sure.
and this is the end of their arc, and this is their, hey, we'll be back later this year.
Okay.
They're going away. But with this issue, we had several people drop it.
Yeah.
And
I'm 2 behind.
It makes me so sad.
Sure.
Because it's so good, and it's a book that we thought we could have an audience for.
Sure.
And we have a small audience for
Market's so packed with product right now, and more new stuff, clearly, look at the list I just read, coming out all the time, that the stuff that's getting dropped is not bad comics, it's just not good enough to keep.
Yeah. And just because we're not excited doesn't mean there's going to be some killer, crazy breakout books out of this list.
Yeah, it's possible, and I'm not upset, really, about the idea of a bunch of books that I'm going to sell 20 and 30 copies of, but it's... The thing I'm upset about is I need more books than I'm selling 80 copies of. Like, Redlands is a book that we thought was going to break out, and it sells okay. It sells between 20 and 30 copies, does all right. But, a book like Sex Criminals we sell like 60 copies of, That's what I need more of. Stuff that's over 50 copies. And depending on what deals they offer retailers, be it returnability or deep discounts or something like that, maybe we go deep on some of these books that we're not hugely excited about, but might find a fan base that people might want to try out, that we might build an audience for. But without those things, there's very few books on the list that I'd feel comfortable ordering 50 copies of issue 1 for.
Agreed. 100%.
I don't want to pick out a specific book, but again, Echolands. That's got a great creative team. It's a creative team that did Batwoman for a while. J.H. Williams did Sandman Overture and Promethea and so many great books in his career.
Oh, Promethea from Justice League America.
Yeah, the Justice League America character. When Motor Crush was coming out, that was a book that had a killer creative team. It was the whole creative team that did Batgirl, that did the Batgirl of Burnside stuff, that was a phenomenon when it came out. We don't carry Motor Crush for the shelf anymore because no one buys it casually. And the amount of subscribers we have is not that many. By issue 6, we weren't carrying that thing for the shelf anymore. And this is a book that, on paper, literally and figuratively, has everything going for it.
Yeah.
Everything you would ask for. And yet, no one really turned out for it. And the buzz on it is kind of nowhere. We spotlighted the trade for a while. It didn't sell. We stopped spotlighting it. We didn't really push it very hard past a certain point because, honestly, I read it. I don't think it's okay. It's all right. I think Brendan Fletcher as a writer is all right. But again, all right's not going to cut it. Too much stuff out there. Too much new stuff coming out for people to keep buying stuff that they are not genuinely thrilled by.
And we do have high hopes for Isola.
Sure. Yeah, I'll give that another shot. I think it's... Carl Kerschel, I adore. I think he's one of the best artists working in comics right now. I'm thrilled to see him do a fully fledged fantasy thing. But I was thrilled to see Sarah Vaughn do Sleepless. And Sleepless, I think we sell about 10 copies of.
Honestly, Sleepless is maintaining pretty well.
But yeah, it's maintaining at 10 copies. We've added more people onto it, but to reach 10, it's not great.
Yeah. But I consider that an Image success lately.
I guess.
That's how low the bar is.
Probably better than we're going to sell in something like Ice Cream Man number 2 or something. I don't know. I don't know what Ice Cream Man number 2 is at, but I can see that being a book where issue 1 blows out and then no one comes back for issue 2.
Well, personally, I don't think issue 2 was nearly as good as issue number 1.
Okay. I know Image is going back to press on it, so they sold out.
We are out of a ton of stuff this week again.
Okay.
And we're selling out of more stuff. I think it's a combination of us being extremely cautious, but people also maybe a few more people coming in.
I would say
more chances.
I would say more the latter than the former because I've definitely been having to go up on stuff for Final Order Cutoff.
Yeah.
For a while, we were always cutting more than we were adding on Final Order Cutoff. In the last few weeks, we've been adding more than we've been cutting.
What was it? Someone asked when a book came out today, and it comes out sometime in March, and there's 2 different covers, and they're both already sold out. I can't remember what book it was, but that's happening a lot more as well.
Sure. There's been plenty of Marvel stuff that the week of we can't get more of it.
Yeah, we have to...
the Sunday before it comes out.
We're probably too late in upping the next couple issues worth of Amazing Spider-Man numbers.
I've been upping it.
Oh, okay. Cool.
You mentioned it to me a week ago. So not this one, but the next one, I added a bunch. So I don't know if I added enough.
You mean this week's or the next one starts when that had...
The start of... the final storyline, whatever it's called. Threat Level Red is what they're on now, but the next thing, I can't remember. It's I always want to say No Way Out, but it's not No Way Out, it's something else.
Big time.
Yeah. One Last Day.
One More Day.
They should have called it One Last Day. That would have been great. Dan Slott. So close to the finish line, you tripped.
So, all right, that segues us into Marvel.
Hey, let's talk about
Marvel had some announcements, and Marvel always has some announcements, and these announcements seem like they are the same announcements.
It's fun to say announcements, right? It's a good word.
Good things.
Got a bunch of syllables.
I have some information for you.
Okay.
According to the Marvel meeting at Comics Pro, and I don't think I'm violating anything by saying this, Donny Cates is the writer Marvel gets the most letters about.
His Thanos stuff is blowing up in a way that I frankly was not prepared for.
So, are you digging his Doctor Strange?
I really am.
He's leaving Doctor Strange.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
He is most likely leaving Thanos.
Okay.
He'll be doing any guesses?
X-Men book?
Two series.
Okay.
One is a character he created,
Okay.
Future Ghost Rider.
Okay.
By the way, do you know who Future Ghost Rider is?
No.
They just revealed that in the last issue.
Who is it?
I don't want to give any spoilers to anybody.
It's spoiler? Oh man, that is
who's
surprising.
not reading this.
Stephanie Brown, what are you up to?
But it would literally be a punishment for you to have to find out on your own.
Oh, okay.
And the rumored book he's doing starting in July.
Uh-huh.
I'll give you 4 guesses what it is.
Okay.
Anyway, their actual
Fantastic
announcements.
Force. There it is. Future Franklin Richards teaming up with Future Ghost Rider.
No, it's Future Foundation.
Oh, not crazy about that. Wait, Alex Power, no. Wait, 4 guesses, Power Pack. Oh my god, Patrick. Bury the lead much?
So the books they have announced.
Yeah, so first of all, Marvel, we had heard varying levels of rumors about Marvel's 2018. They knew that Legacy
Missed the mark, shall we say, politely.
sucked. So one rumor was they always knew the Legacy was just a stopgap. They definitely have more stuff coming. The other rumor was more they know they have to do something, but they don't know what. The former turned out to be true. They have so much stuff ready to go that they must have known in January. Or not even in January. They must have known in September when they were doing Legacy that this stuff has to...
We've been hearing that May 2018 was going to be a new relaunch anyway.
Yeah.
And we've been hearing that for even before Legacy came out.
And one potential rumor that seemed like it was gaining the most steam was line-wide relaunch a la New 52.
Yeah.
Basically, everything's a number 1. They're setting everything back, which never sounded like a good idea to me. And luckily, it seems like, at least in 2018, that's not what they're doing. Their new initiative is called Fresh Start. I'm very excited about a lot of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Everything I'm about to say is going to lead you to believe that's not true. Fresh Start just sounds like the same thing they tell us all the time. They tell us a couple times a year now, which is brand new books, everything's going to be great, new creators on different books, and yet it's like the announcements for May, Avengers #1, Black Panther #1, Venom #1. Black Panther's written by the same guy who's writing Black Panther right now, continuing the stories that he's telling in Black Panther right now. Like, for Fresh Start, I mean, I guess technically 2 of those could be considered fresh starts, but even then, it's an Avengers #1, you know?
Yeah.
Like, all right, whatever.
Avengers #1, Jason Aaron.
Jason Aaron, and it's going to be shipping 18 times a year. Marvel has said this is the one Avengers book, so for those of you assuming that books like U.S. Avengers and Uncanny Avengers would be coming back after Avengers No Surrender, haha, that was never going to happen in the first place, and you were foolish for thinking it would. Avengers is going to be coming out 18 times a year, written by Jason Aaron. The first arc is going to be drawn by Ed McGuinness. Mike Deodato is one of the artists who will be participating in it.
I fully expect that... Wait, you said Mike Deodato?
Mike Deodato, yeah. He's going to be doing some of the 1 million
Oh,
BC
right,
stuff.
okay. I expect that the second major artist to be announced will be Russell Dodderman.
Probably, yeah. It's in the way that Marvel does a lot of this stuff. Ed McGuinness is not, I don't think, going to be the rotating artist. He's the launch artist, and then he's done. They may bring other big artists in for storylines, but in general, I think it's going to be a lot like Jason Aaron's Star Wars stuff, where nearly every arc is going to have a different artist.
Yeah.
Very good artists. Marvel takes a book like Avengers very seriously.
Yeah, I can't wait for Luke Ross to be on it.
Mike Perkins for like 8 pages or whatever. Wasn't that the most recent issue of Avengers? So Avengers #1, Jason Aaron. The lineup is interesting. It's Boy Thor and White Captain America and
White Iron Man.
I assume White Iron Man. Tony Stark, I think they pretty much said, even though you don't see inside the armor. The armor is older Iron Man armor. It's like the Civil War era Iron Man armor. The other members are Jen Walters' She-Hulk, Doctor Strange,
Captain
Marvel, Black Panther, Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
There might be a couple other people I'm forgetting about.
Yeah.
A lot of folks who are in movies and TV shows. I was a little surprised to see Robbie Reyes because they just did a Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider series in Spirits of Vengeance, but I guess new editor-in-chief, new editorial direction. It's an interesting lineup. I think there's some fun characters in there. Obviously characters that Jason Aaron's written before and some he's never really touched. Yeah, it should be fun to see where that book goes. As a fan, I'm very excited about it. Certainly Jason Aaron is one of their most reliable writers, so as a retailer, I'm excited to see someone like that. It's very easy to convince people who have been enjoying books like Thor and Star Wars to try out something like Avengers. It's positioned very much as a, if you read one Marvel comic, read this Marvel comic.
Yeah, and Thor is one of our best-selling Marvel books, and I could easily see Avengers eclipsing that.
Yeah.
This Avengers, yeah.
Yeah. The other book they announced, the second book they announced was, I think second was Venom.
Yeah.
Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman. I don't care about Venom.
Nor do I.
I'm an adult who doesn't have any particular fondness beyond nostalgia for something like Venom.
And even this new series the current series hasn't really moved the needle for us at all.
No, although
in fact it hurt us when it crossed over with Spider-Man.
So many things it crossed over with. That was almost all it did. I'd mentioned to you though that I think a Venom #1 by Donny Cates is going to be very successful.
Yeah.
Some of that is because of Donny Cates. Some of that is just because I think a Venom #1 right now could do very well, just because of kind of where the market's at and what's coming up for that character and all the other stuff. I don't think the lack of interest or relative sales potential of the previous series will have any bearing on how issue 1 of the new Venom series sells.
Agreed.
I'm not looking at those numbers and saying, well, we'll order a little bit over that. No, I'm approaching this like it's a book that people are going to care about.
That said, I'd still copy people from that.
Oh, I'm definitely going to. Just like I will with Black Panther #1 by Ta-Nehisi Coates and, at least for the first arc, Daniel Acuna, who I like a lot. And he did the Don McGregor story in the most recent Black Panther annual, and it came out really well.
The one that's out this week.
It is. This is continuing on from where the series has been, but also finally bringing in the ideas from the Marvel Legacy one-shot, where we got to see
Future Wakanda.
Yeah, the Wakandan intergalactic empire. Yeah, I don't know necessarily if sales are going to skyrocket on Black Panther #1. They could. A lot of casual fans who really enjoyed the film in May could be swung by a new Black Panther #1 in a way that they won't be for Black Panther #168 or whatever. We'll find out. Hopefully, much like some of my hopes for the Image stuff, I hope that Marvel makes the sales tools on these 3 #1s more generous than they were for the Marvel Legacy stuff that definitely was kind of twisting the screws a bit. I'd like to see them outreach a little bit more with Fresh Start and make it something where it's easy for us to buy in and support it, rather than something that is forcing us to overextend ourselves to reach some arbitrary number that they've devised. Yeah, I thought there'd be more announcements from this. Marvel announced Fresh Start on, I think, Tuesday morning. And then between Tuesday and Wednesday announced these 3 books. And the hope was, there's a bunch more coming. Not really. That's it for May.
Well, I mean, you keep mentioning Ta-Nehisi Coates as the writer of Black Panther?
That's his name.
I'm confused because he's the writer of Captain America.
Did they announce
with
that?
the all-new Captain America #1 scheduled to come out on July 4th.
Did they really
of this
say
year.
that?
They did not officially announce that.
Who announced it?
Me just now.
Oh, okay. Because Chris Samnee announced today that Cap 700 is his final Marvel comic. His Marvel contract is run out, and he has not announced his next project, whether that's creator-owned or working for a company.
Guess when Cap 700 comes out? Before July 4th.
It does. There's a storyline that I can't remember who's doing the art. Michael Cho's doing the covers, and it features like Steve Rogers' grandson.
Okay.
Which is probably 701 to 703.
Yeah. So this is a very strong rumor, and we'd heard Ta-Nehisi Coates on Captain America for a long time now.
Yeah, that's true. There's been a few long-term Marvel rumors that haven't completely been discredited, but I have so forgotten about because it's been so long since we heard them that I just assumed, I guess maybe it's not happening. You never hear when rumors don't happen. Like, we've heard rumors about the state of the X-Men franchise, that every time they announce a new team book, it's like, I guess that person is not taking over the franchise. But with Fresh Start maybe being a thing that runs through the summer, I guess all that stuff is back on the table.
It's all back on the table.
Yeah, much like when DC was doing the Rebirth stuff, anything that company can do at this point is probably a step in the right direction, because so many of the moves that Marvel has made over the last 4 or 5 months have not been good moves. So anything that's a line in the sand that says, hey, from this point forward, we're going to get it right, that's a good talking point. That's something that company desperately needs. So, yeah, it's weird that they're already doing the, 4 months after they legacy numbered so many of their books, they're like, oh, Cap number 1. Like, you just renumbered Cap at 695.
Well, hold on. They have publicly stated that they never said they're getting rid of legacy numbering.
They're going to have their cake and eat it too, which is a very Marvel solution to something. The legacy numbers will still be on the cover in some way. Hopefully that's not too confusing to people. Marvel has a way, and the legacy number announcement is a perfect example. Marvel has a way of taking a very easy talking point and making it a very confusing he said, she said, grapevine sort of situation.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a thing that no one's going to care about in 4 months. It'll all be super obvious and we'll be like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah, it's weird to me because it's an admission of failure without admitting they failed, which, as you and I have talked about, is a big difference between DC and Marvel. Dan DiDio's biggest skill as a publisher, as an executive editor, is the dude seems to have no pride when it comes to talking about failure. Like, he is a guy that will say, we screwed up. You guys know it. We know it. We screwed up. And that's great to me as both a fan and a retailer because it allows me to buy into the everything's going to be different now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's basically saying something's new and improved. Like, so the other stuff was bad? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
But you're not. You're just saying it's new and improved. It was great. Now it's super great. Like, I can't... Like, if you're not even going to acknowledge that something like Legacy was badly done, then why do I think you're going to get it right this time? Like, beyond the guy sitting in the executive editor chair, and I guess now the publisher, like, what's supposed to be different? Like, this is the perfect time for C.B. Cebulski or Akira Yoshida or whoever on the editorial staff to say, this other stuff that I had nothing to do with was misguided. Like, I know it's probably tacky to, like, shit all over your predecessor, but that guy was let go because the stuff wasn't delivering.
Yeah.
So if you want to be able to say to an audience that has been disappointed and has felt mistreated, you can say that now. So say that. Don't just act like everything was great, but now it's going to be better. Acknowledge that it wasn't very good. And then we can all move forward with some optimism. But yeah, Marvel as a company seems like they're allergic to doing that. Like, the only two people who are willing to shit all over their predecessors, I think in that company's history, were Bill Jemas and Jim Shooter. That's about it. Those are the only two guys who are willing to say, yeah, those are the guys, they didn't know what they were doing. I do. Okay, great.
Time will tell.
I guess.
Sales will tell.
Yeah.
We'll tell. We'll tell everyone.
Yeah.
We'll tell everything.
That's weirdly a thing that I always really want in all of my comic book stuff. Like, I will frequently read letters columns to books I don't still read because I know they're late and I want to see the letters column. I want them to acknowledge it.
Right. Yeah, you always do that. You always look for the back of...
Yeah, like I looked at the back of Black Monday Murders number 8. I haven't read past issue 1, but I read the back of number 8 because I wanted to see Hickman. Tell me why. Tell me why this happened. Like, I don't read Sex Criminals anymore because I don't like it anymore. But I respect those guys because when they had huge delays during one of their arcs, in the letters column, they didn't just go, sorry guys, it won't happen again. They explained, here's why it happened. Here's the steps we're taking to make sure it doesn't happen again. And lo and behold, it didn't happen again. So as a retailer, like, I definitely want their book to succeed even if I'm not enjoying it. But when, like, Black Mask is a company, it's tough for me to really get behind because stuff just comes out whenever. They lose all sales momentum. Why am I going to get behind issue 1 when by the time issue 2 comes out, I can't sell it to anybody?
Yeah.
I don't need to sell one comic. I need to sell monthly comics.
We were having this discussion about the upcoming final issues of Marvel's S.H.I.E.L.D., speaking of Jonathan Hickman.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why we don't know when Frontier's coming out, because he needs to have at least one book for people to constantly badger him about.
Yeah.
And now that S.H.I.E.L.D's coming out, he's got to have a different book.
The last time S.H.I.E.L.D. came out was 2011?
I think so.
And this was supposed to be a 6-issue miniseries
Yeah,
or
only
something?
4 issues came out.
Yeah. So, I don't know what we're going to stock for 5 and 6. I mean...
Not a lot.
I don't... Even if they do a here's 1 and 4...
They are doing a here's 1 through 4.
So,
all of that comes out in the same month.
Then just wait until it's collected.
Nope. There are fans out there, we know at least one, who want the single issues. And a few publishers have tried... Like, Skyward, I think, because of the death of the creator, his widow had planned to do a Kickstarter to do a graphic novel that collected all of the final materials.
It's active right now.
Right. But one of the stretch goals is taking just the new material and releasing it as a single issue for the fans who have been buying all the issues so they don't have to get
this
80
massive,
pages of stuff they already have to get the 20 they don't have. So I do respect them for saying, look, we started this thing as single comics. We're going to end this goddamn thing as single comics. It is going to be 6 issues like we said it was 8 years ago.
Just don't expect to casually, randomly pick it up off the shelf.
Yeah, boy, if you're someone who's excited about the conclusion of Jonathan Hickman and Dustin Weaver's S.H.I.E.L.D., get those pre-orders in. Even if it's not at our store, get them in at your store because, man, we are not ordering it like it's 2011.
Nope.
That is definitely not happening. And I assume a lot of retailers are going to view it the same way. Who knows what audiences... I mean, when you had said, are we just going to give it to the people who are down for S.H.I.E.L.D.? It was 7 years ago. They're not all down for S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore. We might have sales data that I can go back and look at and see if someone who bought issue 4 of S.H.I.E.L.D., who in the intervening 6 or 7 years...
Still shops with us.
A, still shops with us, and B, still has an account, like, that we can say, yes, we will make sure you get 5 and 6. Like, that's got to be less than a half dozen people.
Yeah, if that.
If that.
Too many variables.
For sure. Yeah, the Marvel announcements, I'm excited for those books, and I think they'll do well. And I know I sound, as always, like I'm super down on them and I'm angry about the industry, but I'm excited about new comics, man. I'm excited about a lot of stuff on that Marvel and Image list. I'm excited about stuff DC's got planned for May. May is going to be a killer month for comic books.
Oh, man, you're not kidding.
So much good stuff. Yeah, just a lot of stuff coming out from a lot of people. It's going to be good times, dude.
Good times. Other good times happen at Challengers on a regular basis.
True.
For example, Monday, this very Monday, February 26th, it may even be the day you're listening to this episode.
Potentially.
We have a book party for Tilly Walden Spinning, and it's a party, it's not a chat group.
Yeah, it's not going to be a sit in a circle, everyone gets to talk about the book and is asked questions about it.
It's a very casual mingle, oh, you read this? I read it too. Hey, isn't it great? Kind of thing.
Yeah, what was your favorite part? That sort of thing. And since it's a book party, you don't just have to talk about that. You can talk about whatever you want. You got thoughts about Black Panther? Patrick would love to hear them. He'd love to talk about it. There's nothing Patrick loves more than saying what he thinks about Black Panther.
No, there's one more thing I love more. It's listening to you say what you think of Black Panther.
You do love it.
I do.
You do love it.
And the entire month of March, specifically every Saturday and Sunday, I hope to love as well, we will have 3 different women or non-binary creators in every
2 to 3
Saturday or Sunday. No, 3.
Okay.
On every day. And in fact, sometimes there'll be more people than just the 3 creators. There will be Girl Scouts selling Girl Scout cookies.
Oh, that sounds dangerous.
So far, that is confirmed for Sunday the 11th.
Dog.
That is a Dow day. No hot dogs, just cookies.
You don't know
Sorry,
that.
Just cookies.
That's a new flavor. They got rid of tag-alongs.
Yeah, so as Dow was alluding to, the schedule changes, but replacements sub in.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So there's 3 every time that we can figure it out, and that'll be happening very, very quickly. Very quickly. And in conjunction with Women's Comics Month, the next Women's Comics Night, which is Monday, March 12th, is all about creating comics, and it's going to have 5 or 6 of the month's creators there talking about their inspirations and making comics, and then you have the option of making your own comic that day if you want.
Yep.
We'll also have another book party at the end of March, specifically March.
Yeah, just figured the easiest thing to remember for the March book party is to have a book called March, and it was this or the Keen Sue one, and I felt like this one's won more awards. So I think for adults, we're probably going to go with the John Lewis March instead of the Keen Sue March. Not to say that in 2019, maybe, Keen Sue gets his shot.
Or John Lewis's March book 2.
We'll see.
Yeah, probably not. And then on the last Thursday of the month, 29th, professional author Michael Marici, to his book fans, he has he's a spy novel coming out.
Ooh.
Called like The Throwaway or something like that, I think. I may have gotten it wrong. He will be holding a writing seminar, a writing clinic, for maximum of 20 people, where he teaches you how to write a pitch. And like, it's just not this isn't a how I write, or this is my process. This is the process he uses to pitch comics, movies, books, of which he has things in all those industries happening.
Yeah, and as mentioned on previous episodes, this is a dude who's got stuff at big publishers. So if you're someone who has a dream of working at some of those publishers or getting some stuff published, he is a guy who can definitely tell you how to do that in the current comics industry. One thing that I think we forgot to put on the big board, but is coming up March 18th, which is a Sunday.
It is a non-Challengers event held at Challengers.
Sure, but it's happening at Challengers.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a lot of fun friends of Challengers. There's a group called the Nerdalogs that does live readings and a cross between, I guess, stand-up and storytelling and poetry reading. They will be at Challengers on the 18th, like Dal said, but they're specifically going to have some wrestling-themed guest stars. For instance, Marty DeRosa.
Oh, from Marty and Sarah Love Wrestling.
And from Wrestling with Depression.
Okay.
And, for instance, Sarah Shockey.
Oh, from, I can't remember what the name of her podcast is again.
It'll come to you later.
Okay.
And I believe, I don't know if it's confirmed, but Colt Cabana as well.
Nice.
And this is an event where I believe it's a free event. I'm not entirely positive. Don't correct me on that. And it's not on our website per se because it's their event.
Right.
But it's on the Facebook as well. That is definitely...
But I gotta imagine that people who shop at Challengers, who are comics fans, there's gotta be at least 1.5 of them who are fans of professional wrestling. So they'd have some interest in comedic, stand-up storytelling wrestling thing.
Yeah. So that's just what we have coming up in March. And there's more scheduled, but we're talking about March.
Yeah.
And the end of February.
Yeah.
And we're talking about comics, like we just did. So thank you for letting us talk, and thank you for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.